CPA George, you are welcome. Are you able to hear the voice from this side?
Hello, yes, I'm able to hear.
Okay.
Hello?
George, we can hear you.
Are you hearing me? Yes, I can.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. So we can start, members. We have 173 participants on the call. I think we can start. I want to confirm that.
Sorry. Edison, volume. How do I increase volume?
To do that, it may not be possible. Okay, let me call you back.
Okay. CPA Mustafa, I know you are on call, and we thank you so much for this, for your availability. And may you share your screen? I want to stop mine. Oh yeah, thank you, sir. You can see.
You want me to share my screen?
Oh yes. You can share the screen. Thank you.
Allow
so
me
much.
to. Okay, I replace the current one. No worries.
Yeah, I've stopped this one.
Hello?
Yes, President. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think we are good to go. Participants, good morning once again. You're welcome to this webinar on fraud awareness. This is one of the special skills accountants should have. And in this week, we are privileged to be part of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, in particular, Uganda chapter, in their celebrations, which started on Monday, which they termed as the Fraud Awareness Week. And I believe they are also well prepared for their conference on Thursday, which is tomorrow, up to Friday. And I also believe that most of us have confirmed to participate in that conference. ICPAU is a part of the conference in very many ways, as you know very well that this area, this concept, is one of the concepts in accountancy, in our accountancy here. So we thank you for your initiatives to come on and be part of this webinar, which is also part of the Fraud Awareness Week. My name is Ambrose. I work here at the Institute. I am here with the CPA Godfrey and CPA Zachary, who Zachary is coordinating the other social media channels. For instance, we are live on YouTube and other channels where this webinar can be linked. Then Godfrey is with us here on the training site, where we will take you up to 12. On behalf of the Institute, we are very privileged to be with you, CPA George Turyamuleba, the president of the association, the president emeritus, our presenter, CPA Mustafa Mugisa, whom we all know as Mr. Strategy. And I want to take this honor and privilege to hand over to the chairperson of this webinar, CPA George. George will also have the chance to the power is the power to introduce our presenter, and then we continue in that way. Before the chairperson comes in, allow me to remind you, one, we will ask questions in the Q&A, and please avoid the chat. Unless the presenter asks us here at the Secretariat to activate the chat. Otherwise, we will be listening. If the presenter requests us to do so, we create it, we activate it. In case it is not necessary, we will use the Q&A to ask questions. Then we will also be able to share with you the slides, because we need you to continue referring and doing further reading, and also planning to enhance your competencies in this area. So I thank you, and I request our chairperson for this session to hold the microphone and do the remaining protocols. We thank you so much and wish you all the best. CPA George, you are welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. My name is George Mugabitulyamureba, the president of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. My job today is simple, is to share the session of the Fraud Awareness Week, and our own, the former and founding president of ACFE, Mustafa Barnabas Mugisha, is going to be our presenter today. But before I hand over to Mustafa, I would like maybe to draw your attention to the association. The Association of Certified Fraud Examiners is an international association which is headquartered in the United States of America, and Uganda. We just have a chapter which I head currently, and for someone to be a CFE, you just need to take up a course, and that course will lead you to being a certified fraud examiner. We are currently located in Kamocha, and we are going to be displaying the location, so whoever wants to take up the course can reach out to us. So without any ado, I just want to invite and hand over to Mustafa Barnabas Mugisha to take us through the fraud awareness of today. Thank you so much. Mustafa, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President. I have put on my camera just that you see my face because of the internet latency. I may have to disable it. Good morning, fellow accountants, students, and practitioners on this call. I would like you to give an e-clap for our president of the chapter for that kind introduction. We are going to cover in the next 1 hour fraud awareness skills and how would you develop competencies that set you aside as a very good accountant and professional. Personally, I have so many qualifications, but I find combining the qualification of CPA with the qualification of fraud examination gives you a perfect skills to be present in any room and make your point heard, because these are rare skills that dig deep into how value is created, delivered, and sustained. And if you speak to any business model, any organization, it is all about how do we create, deliver, and sustain value. Whether it is a not-for-profit, which looks at theory of change, or it is a for-profit organization, which looks at profitability, you are looking at which point will value leak. And fraud is the direct way in which corporate value leaks. So anybody who has skills to anticipate, identify, and manage is going to be a professional who is preferred. So for purposes of a good discussion, you allow me to disable my video so that we can dig deep in. So before I tell you to add on what the president has said about the SFE, I want to just to make, if you have word right, to make this statement because it is going to be cutting through the whole presentation. A fraud examiner or a very good accountant is not a spectator. An accountant is a skilled operator. So I'm inviting you to be a good accountant. Somebody who is not just a spectator. When you go to a football match and you are in the stands and you are watching people play, we can say you are spectating. And of course, the people who are in the playing field, the players, are the skilled operators. So we want you to be the player, not a spectator. And that's what makes a very good accountant. And in my experience, fraud is not committed by criminals. Fraud is committed by trusted people who understand your blind spots. So you go to many organizations and everybody is praising somebody. He's very good, comes very early to work, he keeps good records, he's a star employee. But these are the people who who understand how your organization works, where controls lapses, and the blind spots, obviously. Many times, if you watch, if you have been involved in, when we do, for example, an investigation, and you are looking at maybe, we begin by creating an investigation theory. So maybe somebody must have physically come to the office to be able to break into it, which is a genuine theory. You are going to find that people will try to avoid the cameras where they look, because the places where the cameras are not present is a blind spot. So it takes skill and knowledge and a lot of awareness for somebody in your organization to know that in this particular space, the camera does not see. And that's what we call a blind spot. So before I go further, the SFE, as Abel explained, is a global organization of professionals fighting fraud. Over the years, this global body has over 95,000 members, and our business is reducing the business of fraud worldwide. And to do this, SFE provides a top-notch global certification, which is Certified Fraud Examiner credential. The way you become a certified public accountant, you also become a certified fraud examiner. And in that case, you have a mark of excellence to stand before people and say you can fight fraud, and people can listen, including courts of law. SFE Uganda chapter coordinates the SFE activities in Uganda. And for effective fraud risk management, we encourage you in your organization to come and become a corporate member of the SFE. But also for the Uganda chapter, if you have your staff in finance, in IT, in risk, in human resource, I have been involved in so many investigations, and I have seen some human resource people begging a criminal, somebody who was stolen from them, begging them to resign. So you can see that you might be a very good internal auditor, you might be a very good accountant, but if you do a wrong investigation, you expose your organization to risks of potential legal risks to be sued. And we have seen many staff who go to the labor law, they come with smiling even when they committed crimes against the organization. Reason, poor investigations. So this is why we encourage your professionals to become individual members of SFE in case you cannot become a corporate member. And you can always visit the sfeuganda.com to get more information. About CFE, because we are talking about building competencies, and when we talk about building competencies, we are looking at the ability to do something successfully or efficiently by combining three things: knowledge, skills, and behaviors. So first and foremost, you need knowledge, the information and experience and understanding relevant to the specific subject. So if you are going to be involved in fraud investigations, fraud prevention, fraud detection, fraud risk management life cycle, you need to first learn, really study, and become a certified fraud examiner. The same way, if you are going to do very good balancing of the books, bookkeeping, record keeping, and accounting, and providing reports, or preparing financial statements, and then providing management reports that make leaders make the right decisions. there is no way you if you don't become an accountant, a CPA, that you can do that. Either you become a CPA or you become an AAT, otherwise accounting technician, otherwise you are going to be blindfolded and walking into the highway. So we encourage you, if you don't want to have your name shamed at cross-examination or losing cases in court, you need to join and become a certified fraud examiner. This is the top credential. Researchers have put a lot of effort since 1988 when it was founded by Joseph T. Wells in the United States. The CFA is a global standard for investigations. In many countries, if you cannot work in, for example, revenue authorities, or you cannot work in the inspector of government or in auditor general, unless you combine CPA with the certified fraud examination. And I would encourage that you take this opportunity and become a certified fraud examiner. So to become a certified fraud examiner, and again, this is knowledge. Of course, when you study, you get the knowledge. When you become a certified fraud examiner, you get the knowledge. But now you need the skills and behaviors. And joining the membership gives you the skills and behaviors, because then you are mentored by professionals like ourselves who are at the front line of governance. I was introduced by Ambrose as Mr. Strategy. Yes, to do an investigation, you need strategy. To lead an organization, you need strategy. To even have personal career success, you need strategy. So strategy is a metaphor for success in life, because at all areas we face in life, we need some sort of strategy. So you can first become an associate member of SFE in good standing by visiting sfe.com and registering to become an associate. Then also now you can become a member, associate member of the Uganda chapter. And then you need to meet minimum qualification. Everybody on this call meets the minimum qualifications. And you need to be a person of high moral character, and then agree to abide by the bylaws and the code of professional ethics of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. When you become a member, you get this code, you print it and put it in your office. And finally, pass the Certified Fraud Examiner examination. This examination has 4 modules: financial transaction and fraud schemes, law, investigations, and fraud prevention and deterrence. So this is so important. Allow me to just show you what I mean by this. I'm going to share my screen. I hope I can share my full, so that you can see fraud examination. For some reason, I don't know why your Zoom is not allowing me to share my full screen. Okay, I hope I can share entire screen. Okay, I hope you can see my entire screen, and you can see what is on the screen. Just confirm if you can see my, let me just see a preview of the screen here. Okay, you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see fraud examiner's manual?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know whether I'm going to work with Godfrey Ambrose or my chairman, CPA George. Just confirm if you can see my screen.
Sir.
Yes, so the certified fraud examiner, when you become a member, thank you. When you become a member, you are able to see fraud examiner's manual, and you can access it live. Why? Because fraud is evolving every day, and because of the rate at which it is evolving, the SFE has provided a digital version for practicing members, which you access and find the resources. Now, when we talk about knowledge, because we said competencies of fraud examination, first is knowledge. When you get the knowledge, first knowledge is financial transactions. SFE has 4 key modules. And the first module is the financial transactions and fraud schemes. Let me just go back to the table of contents so that you can see what I'm talking about. So financial transaction and fraud schemes. Okay? So that financial transaction and fraud schemes, this you have. When you are a CPA, you have. But you just see the contents of this. You are understanding financial transaction and fraud schemes, which are accounting concepts. Some of us past CPA, maybe we do not even master some of the accounting basics. Because I remember when we were doing back house, sometime back when you are doing bookkeeping, these days things have been computerized, and sometimes you may not go into the principles of double entry. Some of us have clumped them. So it is good. This tests you double entry and trial balance basics. Then in financial statement fraud, then you go into asset misappropriation, cash receipts, asset misappropriation, fraudulent disbursements, asset misappropriation, inventory and other assets. Then we go deep into corruption. So you can see corruption in Uganda, everybody talks about corruption, but corruption is just a small element within financial transaction and fraud schemes. Just a small element, like 1% of the fraud composition. Now, this is a conversation which everybody needs to understand and appreciate that fraud is a huge universe and corruption is just a small thing. Now, when we focus leadership only to understanding corruption, because corruption is abuse of position of trust to your personal gain or gain of your relatives and friends, where you are having a lot of conflict of interest and things like this. Now, that small element, now imagine how much government of Uganda is losing because we are not focusing on the fraud as a bigger picture, and just we talk about corruption. Then, of course, you talk about intellectual theft of data and intellectual property, identity theft, financial institutions fraud, payment fraud, insurance fraud, healthcare fraud, consumer fraud. As you can see, cyber fraud, and then contract and procurement fraud. This is the knowledge that you need first and foremost. And that's why I encourage each one of you in Uganda at both SFE and myself, we provide training to become certified fraud examiners. We encourage you to come and attain training for becoming certified fraud examiners, because you gain a lot of skills to when you master things like this and become a special professional. If you are going, many people ask me, why do some others get a job or even in their firm remain low in their career at middle and lower management for more than 5-10 years, and yet other people tend to move quickly through ranks and become senior? The issue is about skill and the presence, your presence, professional presence in the tables you are invited. So if you don't have skills that are special, as you can see already with accounting, this will be very good skills, foundational skills to make you really very exceptional. The second module or knowledge that you need to acquire is law. So as you can see, the entire subject of law, even when we are doing accounting, we study law. When we are doing all those professional courses, we study law, but in this very small element. In this case, we are mainly looking at the rules of evidence and the legal rules of evidence collection. I have seen people who don't have mandate doing clandestine or covert recording of somebody. You know that is illegal, because under the laws of Uganda for privacy protection, you are not supposed to record anybody without their permission. So recording me, when you don't have a legal mandate, if it is the CID, the constitution gives them a legal right because they are supposed to protect the government to do clandestine operations or covert operations. But you do not have that mandate. Now, if you lack that mandate and do it, then you are causing unnecessary obligations. If a suspect got to know that you have recorded them, first, that evidence is useless. And if they got to know that you have recorded them without their permission, that is already illegal. They can sue you for infringing in their privacy rights conferred to every citizen in this country by the powers of the Constitution. And that is a very big offense. So you find that because you are an overzealous accountant and you have not got the knowledge that is required, or you have not created the right competence, you want to do things because maybe your firm wants to go into this and each and everything, you end up causing a lot of potential professional liabilities, affecting the image of an accountant and doing substandard work. And that's why we are doing this fraud awareness session, to ensure that you appreciate and understand that each and everything requires competent skills to do them. So you are looking at the overview of the legal system. The good thing now in Uganda, the SFE has democratized the chapters globally. Currently, we have over, I would say, 130 chapters globally, because then we are able to customize the local laws. When you come and we train you to become a certified fraud examiner, whereas the fraud examination manual is in the USA law, in this case, we customize it for the relevant rules of evidence in Uganda and applicable laws, and that gives you an awareness of how to conduct an investigation from A to Z, but also the risks. At which point does an investigation fail? so that you are able to manage and do good investigations. Of course, we are talking about the related fraud, bankruptcy or insolvency fraud. We are seeing many accountants doing insolvency as practitioners, but they are not taking time to understand what are the bankruptcy or insolvency fraud schemes. Because if you don't understand them, then you are going to be exposing a lot of your practice to maybe taking over managing a bankruptcy operation or an insolvency operation, which is fraudulent. And then because you lack the skills and the nuances, you end up not giving value for money to the parties involved. We are talking about securities fraud. We are talking about this relates to Capital Markets Authority, Uganda Stock Exchange, and any listed company, and how they can manipulate trade and stocks to ensure that they gain benefits. Money laundering, tax fraud, individual rights during. That's why I told you in many jurisdictions, the SFE has partnership with the government, whereby you cannot work in some places unless you are a certified fraud examiner, regardless of other qualifications you have. As you can see, the skill set is so elaborate and deep that only the person who has attended the examination and of course got proper training is going to become as a professional. It is possible you can read on your own and pass the exam, but passing the exam can give you some knowledge, which is abstract, but you need skills to be able to win. Then, of course, individual rights during examinations. Now, this I was talking about the recording and things of summoning a suspect, and how do you handle that suspect? How would you do, for example, evidence collection? How would you examine somebody's mobile phone and protect their privacy, despite that you are doing end-to-end data imaging and analysis? How would you do in a way that is professional so that you don't infringe their privacy? Because a very good lawyer is going to bring all these kind of questions that you are cross-examination, and you're going to really look like a fool. Then civil actions, basic principles of evidence, and testifying. So this is the law relating to fraud examination. Everybody needs to master. And then, of course, after that, the CFE will examine you on an entire module on investigations, covering planning and conducting a fraud examination, collecting evidence, interview theory and application, interviewing suspects and signed documents, covert operations, sources of information, data analysis and reporting tools. You realize that, for example, at Summit, every investigation that we do, we make sure that we have police. I personally have survived the kidnaps. I have had a gun pointed at me during an investigation. I have had my forensic lab broken into and all computers stolen. The point I'm trying to make, it is high risk. That's why you need to work with the law enforcement. So you, as a good fraud examiner, you need to know at which point do you need police. But remember, unlike audit or external auditing or internal audit and assurance or just anything which is to do with providing independent assurance and opinion, fraud examination is to finger people, is to point fingers that matters will end up in court. Because you are determining who did what, where, when, and how. There is nothing to do with massaging ego or doing anything. It is about collecting evidence in a way that is objective to determine who did what, where, when, and how. You are stepping on fingers of people. You are stepping on toes. Sorry for lack of, just to be clear. And you are fingering people. You are pointing fingers. If you are pointing fingers, that relationship is adversarial. It is tough. So you are not going to say you're going to be a friend. This is why even for CPAs, we want you, even if you are so knowledgeable, if it is in my company, I have to get another CPA to do that investigation because myself, I cannot. So this is why the ISAs, there is an international accounting standard on using the work of an expert. So what I'm seeing with so many accountants, especially in Uganda, we want to be everything. And then you end up adding no value to organization. It is very important to have a list of experts in the respective fields so that when you have a case, you can bring them. I have seen where we are supposed to conduct internal investigations. HR, through our whistleblowing lines or our data analytics, they indicate something is wrong. And then you are supposed to investigate. Do not be try to be the hero. It is very important to to say I need help, you come to Certified Fraud Examiners Association or the chapter, because they will give you members. The chapter is there to ensure that you get resources to the right people who understand what they are doing. So they will give you a member that is going to help you to do a very good investigation. And then, of course, digital forensics. So you can see, in addition to, you can't do covert operations yourself unless it is only within the organization reach. But anything that lifts the veil of privacy on somebody, like a covert operation on somebody's home, you don't have that mandate as a CFE, even if I'm your employee. That is a mandate that is only given to police, Uganda police. So that's why you have to go to police, report a case, and then police goes to the magistrate or to court to get permission to do anything else. Even police, you will find that only a special kind of police who are just protecting national interests are the only ones with the mandate to do independent covert operations. But even the Uganda police, it cannot unless it reports a case and gets court order. So this is why when somebody comes to search your home, you are asking, where is the court order? So even the police himself, officer, must come with a court order, must have permission of the court. Why? Because courts in Uganda is existing, that it is a third state. It is existing to protect rights of individuals, so that they are not inadvertently tortured or their rights abused on the basis of an investigation. So when you understand these kind of things, you are able to do the right thing. When I was beginning, we would see being overzealous, wanting to go after somebody to do a covert operation, like following them to see what they are doing, which houses do they have. It is completely out of order, completely highly risky, completely potential liabilities to your employer and your family and yourself, and you don't need to do it. That's why we are doing this awareness, so that you gain the right skills, so that you can be able to advise professionally. You need to understand data analytics and reporting, digital forensics, trading of illicit transaction. We did an investigation some time back. The investigation involved somebody was working in a bank in Uganda, traveled to Kenya, then from Kenya went to Tanzania and settled in Tanzania. Now, I had to work with CFEs in Kenya. Then from CFEs in Kenya, we realized when we went to the border and we saw that they had crossed the border, we had to work with CPAs in Tanzania and CFEs. So now you can imagine, even when you know what to do, you cannot go to somebody's country and begin doing these things because you don't know the nitty-gritties. And it is so interesting when it comes to tracing illicit transactions, because when you come, for example, for CFE training, you are also going to understand, in addition to there is the umbrella of police, which is structured, that is an agreement between governments, Interpol, international police. There is also the equivalent of the private detectives, the form of private detectives, which is online, but it is a members only access because you have demonstrated certain skill. So you'll find that this is sort of in the dark web. These are the people who are former military, former police officers, former Interpol. They know that when you go through government, sometimes government may not have relationships in a given country. So they created the equivalent of Interpol to support organizations that have problems. For example, if you pay, not necessarily a Bitcoin, but if you make a payment from Uganda through a bank, you know, those fictitious emails, and pay supplier, say in China, and immediately that person withdraws the money. The Private Detectives Association, I'm happy that I'm a member, will help go to that in that country and will trace the funds for you. Of course, it is expensive and fast, but if the money involved is a lot, why not pay that fee? At least you have an assurance that criminals can be reached anywhere they are, even when you don't go through normal formal government processes. And so finally, as part of the critical knowledge, the Fraud Examiner's Manual covers what we call fraud prevention and deterrence. So as you see, this is coming at the end, but it is the most important one. where you're looking at understanding criminal behavior. This is the psychology of the fraudster. The white collar crime, corporate governance, management fraud-related responsibilities, auditors fraud-related responsibilities, fraud prevention programs, risk assessment, fraud risk assessment, ethics for fraud examiners, code of professional ethics, and code of professional standards. So these make you a highly knowledgeable person. This book is around 2,000 pages. And when you finish it, you do 4 exams. Each of these is an exam. I am not trying to, I hope you understand that this session is about understanding the competencies. And we don't want you to go to court and they ask you, who are you? What makes you come and waste court's time that you can present? In Uganda, when the law recognizes a certified public accountant as a professional because we have an act of parliament, but despite the court recognizing CPA, you need the CPA plus other content skills. So if you say I'm a certified public accountant, there is a law that protects that. Then I'm also a certified fraud examiner. So this allows you to be in court and the people to listen to you because you bring in special skills and expertise. So that said, I am going to go deep to show you some other skills that you need, which in addition to what I have so far prepared. But in case there are some questions, you can ask them, then we can proceed to the next areas. Thank you. I will hand over to you, my chairman, and Godfrey, in case there are some questions as we go to phase 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bana Mustafa, for that elaborate explanation about ACFE and CFE certification. Now I would like to invite the audience to ask questions.
If they can still be, you can share, you can see the Q&A. I see there are some questions. You can bring them to my attention. And as they ask those ones, I want to now go to the PPT that I prepared so that we are able to also cover that, if you allow me, Chair.
Should we first finish that and then they ask?
Some questions, thank you.
Members, if you have any question about the ACFE course background and what the presenter has already talked about, kindly raise it before we proceed to the next item.
Chair, I think that in regard to the questions, there is a question from Anonymous who's asking, is it okay to be with CFE, CPA, and CIA? I believe CPA Mugisa has elaborated, but he may need to emphasize on such competencies, especially if you're already a CPA, but and you need additional competence. Then there are also other questions in the Q and A. Is there a list of certified fraud examiners available on the website? And Mwesgwa is asking, how much is the entire cost? Yeah. And those are some of the questions I can see here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Question number 1, the CPA trains you different skills, CIA trains you different skills, and the CFE trains you different skills. Globally, ACFE has strategic partnership with CIA. They have authored several tools together because they know of the interplay between those skills. So I would encourage you to become, if you are a CPA, CIA, to become a CFE, because CIA is more about expressing an opinion, independent assurance. It's more about independent assurance, consulting activity to management. So it is, for lack of a better word, it is you are a friend of the management to improve operations, governance, risk, and strategy. you are telling them you are doing a sort of foresight and saying if you continue doing what you are doing, the organization will lose value, will fail. You are a strategic advisor. For fraud examiner, you are coming in first and foremost to point fingers. That's an investigation. Two, you are coming in to prevent what kills value. So I can say because the skill set is completely different, you need this knowledge. It is important that you become. If you go to the website of sfugandachapter.com, you will be able to find the list. But also you can send an email and you can get the list. Sometimes because of the data protection and privacy law 2019, which was signed by the president in 2019, there is some information that we can do. A member has to allow us to give you their details. So only for those ones that are publicly available, we can put. That's why when you contact us, we then give you the list. Okay. And the other question, the pricing. The pricing, I would say you can take our contacts, you send that question because it depends at the level you are, and then you are able to be guided. You can send an email and when we can give you a quote. Because some people want only to become associates of the SFE, in which case you pay only $75, you become an associate. And then to buy an exam, it is around $800. And then to study, then you choose where to study. Currently, you can study at the SF Uganda chapter offices, or you can come and study with the Institute of Forensics and Security at Summit Consulting offices. So the pricing is different depending on where you would like to study from. Okay, I think those are some of the questions. Now, what you are seeing on the chart, I am going to use a few minutes so that we can rush it through. What you are seeing is the foundation of fraud. It is what it is a fraud diamond, and it explains what is fraud and why fraud occurs. If you look, you read the Black's Law Dictionary, fraud is the intentional misconduct caused against one party and loss to the other party. So meaning that if you are going to prove fraud, there are certain elements you have to prove. And this is I would say, why fraud will increase in a given organization than the other. It is because of the fraud diamond. I will not go through this because we have basically alluded to them. And also in the SFE, I showed you about the occupational fraud and abuse classification system, which SFE calls the fraud tree. This is a bedrock of fraud. If you don't understand this tree, then you don't know about fraud, because every fraud inside an organization is explained how it works. You are able to see corruption, you are able to see asset misappropriation and financial statement fraud. So you can see conflict of interest, bribery, illegal gratuities, economic extortion. You are able to know conflict of interest includes purchasing schemes and sales schemes. So then the bribery is invoice kickbacks and the bid rigging, and so many legs. So you can see, as we talk about this, you are already seeing in your organization where some of people who are committing this kind of frauds. Okay, and so I will not go through that. You also, as a good fraud examiner or accountant, you need to understand how fraud prevention works. What is the fraud prevention strategy? The 3 legs of prevention or fraud risk management program, which is prevent, detect, and respond. And fraud governance, fraud risk assessment, and fraud procedures, data analytics, fraud investigation, and fraud culture. So these are 3 building blocks of an effective fraud risk management regime. If you don't know them, then there is a problem. Okay? And of course, you need to what we call master the investigative mindset. See what others ignore. The difference between an accountant and a fraud examiner is simple. An accountant asks what happened. A fraud examiner will ask, why would someone do this? So why is more powerful, because you are looking at what we talked about previously, the motive. And once you begin looking at the psychology of the fraudster, it makes sense. Many times when we are investigating, currently we do very few special cases. Where you find that during an interview, or somebody breaks down and you just tell them, yes, I have understood your child was sick, and then you have some money in the office, you're in petty cash, and they have refused to give you an advance. I think it is understandable that anybody with petty cash will take the money and go and have their wife undergo C-section because of the problem. So you see the person just breaking down and saying, you understand me. These people cannot understand it. You see, I'm having all these kind of problems. Obviously, when you speak to the psychology as an investigator, it may not be manipulation. It is putting yourself in the shoes of the fraudster and understanding their thought process. So this is why you cannot investigate if you cannot have very good social interpretation. And by the time you are able to do that, it means that you have investigated and understood a lot about your subject or suspects, other than just meeting them for the first time. Because I've seen people who are trying to interview somebody when they have met them for the first time, which kills the case completely. So as you can see, you have to interrogate assumptions, not just the numbers. What do we mean by interrogating assumptions? You have to go and in the field, you have to understand their alibi, what is their excuse. You have to come up with a theory and try to interpret it. And if somebody says, I did not steal because I was up country in Mbarara, then you have to ask one assumption is, what if they called somebody who did it for them? Can I prove that a phone number of somebody whom I also suspect? So many times when you ask those questions, you go and get a phone printout log, or you examine their phone, you'll find that actually the person was very far abroad, but they had the ongoing WhatsApp calls between the two parties. And so that is a circumstantial evidence, but it is so powerful to give you an idea. That's why we say you must have investigative mindset as a skill. That is curiosity. They say children who are brilliant will be curious. They want to ask many questions. They want to see what comes next. When they are traveling, they are not sleepy because they want to see where does it end? What new thing am I seeing? The same thing. When we are investigating, sometimes we find the pricing, the risk is so much, but it is so interesting, like a thriller movie that every evidence you collect gives you a pointer that you want to find out. And the fraudster is trying to hide their schemes, and for you want to uncover it, and so it becomes very compelling. Of course, we say use evidence-based thinking, never opinions. We have seen people, somebody asked, what if I'm an internal auditor? Internal auditing is relying on assumptions. Internal auditing is relying on opinions. Internal auditing is relying on so many things that are about behavioral profiling. But in this case, in fraud examination, we are relying on facts. When I was being trained by my mentor, he said, if you don't have evidence, don't put it in the report. Now, you compare how many, if you look at a report of internal audit, which is 50 pages, how many of that report are opinions? Because you'll find that there are things like the risk. You are the attribution of risk. You are going to write the criteria, the condition, and then you are going the criteria. It will be part of condition will be what you have found. That is the issue. Criteria will be the best practice, and then you are going to begin putting your opinion all over the place. The recommendation, the risk, that is opinion. But now you'll find that in investigation, that is for lack of a better word, filling the pages. It is not necessary. We are focusing on facts. What happened? Who did what, where, when, and how, and where is the evidence that supports it? So if you don't have it, don't put it. That's why you see many, there have been cases where internal auditors have flagged issues to the IGG, and then the DPP has gone to court, and the cases have not succeeded. Why? Because the audit reports are full of opinion instead of evidence. And so it fails at cross-examination. And you have seen even the case of I don't want to go into so many naming, but that is the issue. So you as a professional, when you use evidence-based thinking and not opinions, it really changes the script. You'll find that a report that should be 20 just comes to 10 because you are focusing on what happened, who did what, where, when, and how. If you don't have evidence, you cannot write about my name, that Mustafa did ABCD when you are doing hearsay. It doesn't make sense because I'm going to put all my resources to ensure that my name is cleared. And if I find that you made mistakes, you are going to pay for it. Okay? And that's why we say verify and document every fact independently, and you must have a chain of custody. You like to talk about an NGO where I did an investigation. This woman had never, she was a CEO, top honcho, very big. Everybody, she works, everybody almost comes to a standstill. I go there to investigate potential conflict of interest. She had been used to auditors, and they are massaging her ego, observation, application. You change this to this, they do change. Now we came in to do an investigation of potential conflict of interest. And for that assignment, I said, since the suspect is the directors and the MD, we shall report directly to the board. And basically these days, that's what we do. So I got evidence, thorough evidence, called this MD, told her, please, before we meet the board tomorrow, it is very important we confer, we review the evidence we have. For her, she thought this is the same reports of internal audit where they have written issues, observation, and the recommendation and things like this. She will just say management response. Man, we reached there in the board. I remove the evidence. I give everybody, and it shows that one of the brother got a grant when they are supposed to have none. In which case we had proved this is a brother. We gone to the village, gone to Nira, gone everywhere, and got evidence that proves that the organization is owned by the brother. And that is not potential, that is existing conflict of interest. Nowhere it had been declared. The woman, there is a moment when you want to be swallowed up. And now, for some reason, it is so bad that there is when somebody is being put in a corner. Now, my mind went to me begging her to meet her to tell her about this. Because if you go to that meeting when you are prepared, it is different than when you really get hit by a stone at the moment. And each and every of us as professionals, we must have that professional courtesy. So for me, it was good because I did an attempt, even after being annoyed and all these things. Later, 3-4 years later, after losing the job in the field, she said, I would have been mad at you had you not called me to tell me. But you had the evidence and it was true. There's nothing I can do. And the fact that you had wanted to show me and I didn't have time for you. So much as we are doing these jobs, we have to have that personality and the professionalism to do the things. It is not about catching parts down. And I see it so with so many people where they are trying to find a problem. When you are investigating, you are having a high level responsibility to protect, because you are going there with an open mind. Even the client is a suspect until the evidence proves otherwise. And I want you to have that mindset. Then, of course, you have to develop strong interviewing skills. This is a training of its own. We do interviewing suspects. It is a huge training, and I think it is one of the top skills that you need as an accountant or an investigator, to learn how to interview suspects. It is another training that can take a day or two specialized, but it will really set you aside. We would like you to get some of these special courses. Then, of course, ability to analyze financial records for intent, not just accuracy. I know some of us will not look for patterns, will not look for breaks, will not look for unexplained consistencies. We are so worried about life that we are losing our professional curiosity and rigor. The attention to detail is not there. So you cannot see patterns, because many times when I look at a given data set, I am looking at, if I am reviewing for an organization, I'm in an annual meeting, I'm looking at the performance over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What is the out of pattern? Because anything out of pattern, management should explain. If they don't explain, that is a question mark. Accuracy is not the same as honesty. You have to look for motive. Somebody In Uganda, we are seeing a lot of frauds. People, when they came with the PPDA law and all these kind of many laws, people have mastered the art of, especially procurement officers, to be compliant, but deliver no value. And so you can see a procurement is compliant across all the requirements of PPDA. But if you ask, and you know, on this call, why did we change IS 39 to IFRS 9? It is basically responsibility accounting. What would the right professional do in the circumstances? And this is what we are also asking. How do we focus on responsibility accounting other than just compliance accounting? Because compliance accounting in IS at, I think it was IS 39, was causing a lot of financial transaction statement fraud. And because of that, you know, last end of year sales, and then you reverse them. That's what the IS 39 was causing, and it caused the problems to Enron and those kind of corporate scandals. So we are also saying, let us focus on responsible accounting when it comes to procurements. You as a professional, much as you comply with the law, is it the right thing that you should have done? Should you stop an ambulance going into Mulago with a person who needs 2 minutes to survive, but you stop it at the checkpoint and check it for 5 minutes, in which case the person dies? Because when they ask, why did you delay? I was checking the car. The police officer will say, I was checking the car and I'm allowed to check all the cars. But responsibility accounting, is it the right thing that should have been done given the circumstances? You will fail that test. Because you have to have that, that's why you are a professional. You have to have that presence of mind to say, what is the right thing? A qualified, competent, skilled professional, what would they have done in the circumstances? So many of the procurement are compliant because there is no context. But when you add context and the professional rigor, you find that all the things fail because you are stealing basically in the face of compliance. Of course, you have to apply digital forensics. You don't need to be a digital forensic expert. You just need to understand when you need the skills of an expert and then bring them in. And we have a lab. We usually help people in this kind of area for special cases, not any other case, because obviously you can't handle every other thing. And of course, most importantly, you must master report writing. Your report must survive an attack. I want to thank you, and I think that's all we had for today. Thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Bwana Mustafa, for that elaborate presentation. To me, as the chair of the session, what I note is that for organizations to be safe, they should have a little bit of, they should always caution themselves about behavior of staff. It doesn't matter whether someone is a superstar in performance, even those who actually make good reports, balance the books very well, and they are very smart, they have ended up, they end up becoming fraudsters within their organization. The other one is about the legalities. Legalities for any person and organization, maybe board or management, they must be aware of the legalities. How do you approach certain things when they happen? You have to consider the law, you have to consider your policies, because we have seen in your presentation that sometimes things, even when fraud has occurred, it turns out against the organization when they take steps that are outside law. And you specifically talked about if someone records someone like without their knowledge, that is prohibited by law. And once someone does that, it may actually end up making the evidence that is collected inadmissible in the courts of law, or even organizations, tribunals. Therefore, for someone to carry out a successful fraud investigation, they need to pay attention to certain things that are mandated by law. Like, for example, if I want to do a covert operation, you must do it hand in hand with the police that is given mandate by law. You must, for example, in some instances, you must have such warrants, you must have such the court orders, and all these are obtained following a certain procedure. Then you talked about the psychology of the fraudster. That is where we are talking about the psychology of the behavior, the behavioral part of an individual in relation to fraud. You look at maybe punishments. If, like, for example, there are punishments, how will people behave? And when they are suspended, how they will also behave. Punishments can actually be a temporary way of rule, but for us as certified fraud examiners, we encourage people having knowledge and like the way we are doing right now. So I'm very sure I'm seeing the attendance is very good. I'm very sure that we are going to do like the way the Bible, before they wrote the Bible, there was the gospel used to move from person to person, home to home, village to village, and eventually reach the whole world. And that is what we want to do. As the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Ugandan chapter, we want to encourage everyone who is listening to tell a brother, the brother tell a sister, and the sister tell a relative, so that by the end of the year, we are commencing next year, by end of next year, at least we have the levels of awareness so high. We also want to encourage members to register and do the course. Like our colleague has stated, the course is so good. Me, I can't testify that I've not even had, I've not done investigations ever since I qualified, because I also have another job somewhere. But I can attest to the fact that the knowledge I have has helped me a very great deal in the way I do my work, and even the way I perceive things, and in the way I behave, even in our society. So we need to really, embrace the Fraud Awareness Week and partake the course, so that we can be able together to kick fraud out of our country. Then the other one we talked about was false, like in investigation, there is what they call false imprisonment. Like, for example, if you are investigating someone, you have had on several occasions when you take evidence to court and someone, for example, was tortured. When you torture someone by law, it means actually you are losing evidence, and that person may end up being set free. The same thing when you are investigating and you put someone in a room and you close it. That one, the raw evidence, means you are imprisoning the person, and the only person that can imprison a person is either police or the prisons or court. So if you create a room and you lock someone in, it means you are imprisoning someone in an ungazetted place, which is also against law. And once they report that, however much you have incriminating evidence, you may not be able to succeed in a court. Then the very last one I take is confession. Even you are, like, for example, when you are executing confession, when you are extracting confessions, you need to be maybe at that moment you need to have another person in the room. So that one is also very important. But very lastly, that I have taken, they talked about intent. Fraud cannot amount to fraud when there was no intention to do that. And how do you prove intention? That is what we call actus reus, the act itself, and mens rea, the state of mind, and the presenter alluded to it. You must, when you are investigating fraud, you must at least prove that there was intention to commit that. And the commission of the proving intention, you look at the acts, you look at what the person did or what they said before the action was done. So that is what I see. I want to thank you so much I want to thank you so much for listening and attending this session. We can have so many other sessions with in the future. We shall also be preparing our webinars and we shall be reaching out to you. And you can also, in your organizations where you are, you can actually choose a topic if you are internal audit, and maybe you want to learn how to systematically investigate cases. You can invite us and we shall take you through a short course of 2 or 3 days to know at least the basics in investigation. We can also come and highlight the trends. What is on, what is trending, what crimes are trending. We can also now come and talk to you about that psychology of the fraudster. How can you be able also to tell that someone maybe have participated in the commission of a crime? All those, they are in the fraud manual, and but we also have experts who are readily available when as and when you contact us to reach out to them. I want to thank you so much, and I want to invite you to our event. We still have a few slots. It is starting tomorrow at Speak Resort Munyonyo and ending on Friday. If you have time, kindly, there is a lot to be discussed. You can reach out and register for the conference. I want to thank you so much, and maybe open the Q&A sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mustafa. There are some questions which we can respond. I see from Jenkins, from Nicholas. Jenkins is asking, when you do CFE, wouldn't you need some cybersecurity skills to have a proper understanding? Sometimes when dealing with hackers, because these are the biggest crimes today. Yeah. Then also, as per the recent quotation, the cost is approximately $1,600. The other question is, so what, do you have a sample report, investigation report? And another question, does it require a fraud examiner to apply for protection? Mawanda is asking, forensics audit is quite sensitive. How do you ensure protection? Yeah. CPA Mustafa, kindly guide your colleagues online. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
So before as I answer these questions, I have put, I was given a responsibility in my community to mobilize for the new church, and I'm inviting you members to contribute to us, support us. I grew in the Catholic Church, and when you get the opportunity to support it, I really support it. So we are doing this Fraud Awareness Week to reach out, to empower people. We are not paid for it, but also some of these jobs, because of our culture and where we come from, we find that it is a causes that you are happy to identify with. So as the fellow professional accountants, I would be grateful that you support this cause, for which I'm the chairman, the development committee for Kisasi Kianja. That is the church they have, and it is really very bad. We are trying to make it better. We shall have a fundraising dinner on 29th November, and you can scan a code, even if you contribute 20,000, and you add accountant, CPA, I will be very, very proud to stand at the dinner and say my fellow accountants supported this cause by this. It goes a long way to demonstrating who accountants are. That said, and thank you very much for allowing me to say it. The question your first question was what are the requirements to become a CFE? Currently, everybody on this call meets the requirements for becoming a CFE. What you need now is to register as an associate member by going to the sfe.com or visiting the chapter or visiting us at the Institute of Forensics and supporting the process. Then why wouldn't need CFE? CFE, what we have seen, a CFE is gives you skills to understand a lot of things, given that we are talking about the law, we are talking about financial transaction fraud and so many things. In the CFE handbook, there is introductory session on digital forensics and the handling investigation on mobile and phone. However, those skills are to give you a minimum understanding of evidence, how to handle digital evidence, given that it is volatile. Personally, I first became a certified ESCO hacker and then became a certified hacking forensic investigator. These are all different courses, but you reach a time as a professional to focus. I am the man who talks about strategy, and strategy is about focusing. You identify few skills that are mission critical. So even now, when I am a certified hacking forensic investigator, I use people in my lab who are every day on it when I need evidence from mobile phones or computers. Why? Because they are because technology is changing so fast. I did the certified hacking forensic investigator in 2014. Most of the operating systems have changed. Most of the computing environment memory has changed. Now we have AI and you have bot-enabled hacking tools and the malware. The thing is so dynamic. You can keep up, but it requires a lot of effort and time. So this is why, for using many words, you must have a list of professionals you are going to who will support you. So if you are doing an investigation and you get something that needs computers and mobile phones, you bring it to our forensic lab. In case you want to recover data, you bring it to our forensic lab. Why? Because we don't want to have a lab in each and every company. That lab will become almost useless because how many times are you going to get a case to handle? This is why we have been having a conversation, and I think this is when we finish our building at the Institute, we put a center of excellence. Center of excellence in data analytics, center of excellence in cybersecurity and investigations. So that anybody in the field, practicing or non-practicing, who has issues that needs to be determined, you bring it in the forensic lab at the Institute, and it will be a forensic lab as a service or data analytics as a service, and then we should be able to handle it. I am happy these are the conversations that I supported the strategy of the Institute when we are formulating it, and this is the future of the Institute, and I see this as a beautiful future because it will democratize and give you time to think for your practice and profession as you let the professionals handle something. So I wouldn't say that you have to get all these qualifications, which are detailed. If you gain skills of certified fraud examiner, it gives you a high level. CIA gives you a high level, and then now you can tap into other experts to support you. So again, hackers, these are biggest crimes today. Yes, they're biggest crimes, and all professional qualifications are recognizing it, and you'll find there is a detailed module for it. I'm sure in even CPA there is an IT course that goes deep into some of these things. And actually, I would be happy to introduce a module for certified fraud examination within the CPA course in that end. Those asking, yes, Kiza is an administrator at the SFE Uganda chapter. You can contact him for about the course as well. Do you have a sample investigation? Yes, we have a sample investigation report. Maybe in the future we shall do. We call it investigation report writing mastery. So investigation report writing mastery, because these are the things where you are working with lawyers, you are working with ourselves as fraud examiners. We give you a template. investigation report writing mastery, and then you learn from first principles. I would request, if you are interested, share your email with the institute, or allow the institute to give us your email, and you'll get more details on investigation report writing mastery. There are courses in January which you can attend. Forensic audit is quite sensitive. How do you ensure protection? As an auditor, that's why we are saying, as an auditor, when you have an issue that requires investigation, traditionally your jacket is somebody who is providing improving systems. You are not seen as somebody who is going to be pointing fingers. So, for example, many people are not taking it personally on lawyers when they do their work. They take it so personally on auditors when they try to do the work of investigation. So this is why having an external support to investigate, even if you have the skills, is important for you. But also for us as a firm, we work a lot with the police, because most of the cases that come to us, and they are going to involve, or whether they will involve court or not, because we know matters will involve court, or even if it goes to disciplinary hearing, the staff has rights to refuse and escalate these issues, because the law, the employment law provides that when the staff is subject to a disciplinary hearing, is allowed 2 people of his choice or her choice to be present. Many staff come with lawyers. Lawyers, when they come, they ask to look at the investigation report, or why are you accusing their client? And from there, matters escalate. The lawyers will advise and say, no, we should go to court. We can't allow this. It is a kangaroo. And when they say like that, matters have already gone to court, even if the company didn't want. So what does that mean? It means that everything where it involves an investigation, pointing fingers, make sure that you are thorough, work with experts. And now when we involve police, we usually have private detectives supporting you. For any organization of government, you'll find that there are detectives attached to it. If you go, even some banks have got a police detective attached to it. Why? Because the investigations will require somebody who has a mandate to easily process court orders and search warrants and things like that. Thank you very much. I thought the questions are finished, but I'm going to request that you support this dinner, because yours truly is the chairman, and on 29th I will be on the pedestal. I want to make sure that we don't let we show that accountants what we are made of. Thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, for answering the questions. I would also want to add my voice on the issue of experts, and maybe explaining the role of the CFE. Yes, the CFE, when you certify as a CFE, you get a lot of knowledge, and this knowledge mostly helps you in procedure and understanding where red flags are. But like we know, even the normal auditing, if, for example, you are an internal auditor and you are going to audit where there are constructions, you don't need to be an engineer to audit. What you need to do, when you are deployed, when you need the services of an expert, the expert will be hired, and they will give that part of the report. But it will be still under that kind of investigation. So we don't need to be qualifying in all the field, because it is actually very impossible. But where you reach and you face a challenge, the course actually equips you with the knowledge of identifying when and how you need an expert. The other thing I would want to talk about is about protection. Yes, of course, when you are investigating a sensitive matter, there will be that situation where you will need some protection, and the procedures of getting protection are also well known. Most especially if you are officially undertaking an investigation. I think that is it. I want to thank the following. Ambrose, thank you for putting this thing together, and our own CPA, Chiza Henry, who has been following up on our behalf to the Institute. And we want to thank the Institute of Certified Public Accountants for partnering with us. You are our sponsors, and you have enabled us to talk to the public, to sensitize the public about fraud, and we want to keep engaging and doing much more. Ours as a chapter, we make sure that those who want to certify and become certified fraud examiners, you pass through us, and we make you become one. The other one most likely is public outreach. We collaborate, we partner, so that together we can disseminate this information to the public in order to help reduce fraud, which in Uganda, most of the people call it corruption. When you talk about something to do with fraud, in the Ugandan language, people say, that person is corrupt. But corruption, like our presenter has said, is one of the forms of fraud. So we want to encourage you to attend tomorrow. If you want to come to our office, we are located on Katego Road. That road is the road that is from this Chitante that connects to Mawanda Road, and the building is called Sunrise Building. You can also reach out to the chapter on the numbers that are on the website. Our website is www.acfeuganda.com. When you log in, you will be able to find enough information and directions to reach us. I want to thank you so much, and at this juncture, I would like to hand over to the organizers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair and President of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Uganda chapter. We thank you for this. We want to also thank CPA Mustafa for a wonderful presentation and for being the founding president of the association. We thank you, all you participants, for the questions you've asked, and we request that if you need more information about this program, we have given you the website in the and the contacts of the team at the chapter's head office. Even one of our own CPA, Chiza, is on the phone. You can approach them and be assisted. We want also to join you, CPA Mustafa, for this community development. It is part of the profession to develop communities, and even in the era of ESG. So I believe that we will support you as members of the Institute and others who may really feel the urge to support, and you have the capacity. So we thank you for everything, members, and we pray that we shall meet again. Tomorrow we have that conference organized. So in case you've registered, and if you have not registered, feel free to register. You have had the seats still there. And for our case, next week we have other trainings on Thursday and Friday. Thursday we have an engagement on students, practical experience for those who are mentoring students. And also on Friday we have digital skills, digital and ethical skills. It is one of the drives, one of the areas we must enhance in order to succeed in our profession. So otherwise we Since there are no any other questions, I request that we end here. I want to thank all of you for being with us in this webinar and wish the association a successful week up to Friday. Wish you all the best. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye.